All right, I'll be rolling. This is live from the wasteland here in the survival pod. This is Freedom Phil, and what's the topic today? Honestly, when it comes to updates, I just want to point this out. If it's unnecessary, if it doesn't need to be there, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, then hey, can we just finally just admit the problem with the tech industry, the apps, and all this crap is the tech workers that constantly add more steps to our life. When Google said, don't be evil, I'd say wasting a lot of people's time worldwide for things they don't need to learn for stupid aesthetic reasons. Also, some guy, rich dude, can buy another supercar so Stacy will finally touch his peen. That's pretty fucking evil. Yeah, where am I going with this? Freedom Phil, like, subscribe. Let's get into it. Hey, turn up the video speed. And why do I always say that? Because watch videos faster. That's what you should be doing. You should be watching this if I choose to upload it at 1.75. And as always, just going to be real about it. I am not your father. I'm not your digital nanny. I'm not any of those things. I'm just some guy talking on the internet. And if you're pissed off that your kid heard something on the online watching me, well, quit being a shitty parent and farming out your parental duties to a screen. And a lot of my followers are robots and retards. There's a handful of you that are intelligent. If you're some guy spurging out of my chat, I might time you out, I might block you, I might do anything. But if you're intelligent and know how to have a conversation, I welcome you. As for the rest, you can burn the fires. Let's get into it. I'm sitting there and I go to get like a screenshot of something, for, a thumbnail, all that. And apparently there was an update. And now the same thing that I used to know how to do perfectly fine just yesterday now has new ways to do it. Instead of having it right down where it's always been, and it worked fine. It ain't broke, don't fix it, Keep it simple, stupid. Now we've got to figure out how to navigate this shit. And why? Why this minor aggravation? Why? And the answer, like I said at the very beginning, is because some tech worker literally wants to buy a supercar so Stacy will finally touch his peen. That's really it. Like, I can understand the updates where they go through and they do a little bit of antivirus scanning and whatnot, but this isn't that. See, old updates way back in the day, for the most part, before it became pretty painfully obvious that they're making everything worse or more complicated for whatever reason, we'll come into that later. Yeah, back in the day, they were kind of quiet about it. It was like they were trying to sell you a product. It's like there must have been a bunch of competitors in the market instead of just like, let's see, Apple and Android. It seemed like there was a bunch of competitors in the market. So you had to actually not piss off your customers. This is where I actually do see a problem when corporations get too big and there's only a handful of them. That's when they start doing stupid shit like this. That's when they start acting like the government. And I don't know where exactly somebody just thought that, okay, if we add more clicks and steps to your phone, is that just to get people to spend more time on their phone? I don't get this. How do you make money off more clicks and steps? I'd love to know that. I'd really, really love to know that. Because I think, here's a wild thought. If you make the phone experience as simple as possible, it must have been, by the way, it must have been great back in the day with phone books. Because you know how you got the phone book and it stayed the fucking phone book for your whole childhood? Like, you got one every once in a while, and it was the same basic platform. Here's the yellow pages, here's the white pages. And you went, you looked up a number, you looked up a name, or you looked up a business, and there it was. Wow, that's so fucking hard. The technology didn't change much. And that's the way a lot of programs are. The truth is, the program worked just fine back in 2003 or 2005. We had it figured out back then, but we have to keep on adjusting it, keep on tweaking it, give this new little superficial thing. And you know what? I agree that you should have other options. So the new option should be on the toolbar up there to where if you want that, like you want to add some squiggles or some other thing, add it up there. But if you have something that classically works, and maybe you even check a box that says, I just want classic version this. Constantly on my updates, can we just have this version that does the thing I want just fine? It allows me to crop the photo. A video editor stays the same. Because it worked. It worked just fine. No. That guy needs to get that tech worker, who obviously needs to get his nuts kicked, like I said in the short, needs to get their fucking testicles crushed. Because that's the problem. He wants to get his penis touched by some hot chick, so he needs a supercar. He needs to be at the club, bro. So he goes out and justifies his job by, look at how we made this app so much better. Oh, the functions and all this. No, you didn't. We're doing the same shit we were doing back then, maybe with a doodad or a fucking emoji now. We're doing the same shit, except for now you've made the tool that was right down here is now up there, or it's hidden here. Why not just keep it the same? Keep it simple, stupid. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And then we get into the, malicious bullshit. And this kind of explains why more and more people are slowly switching. It's a very slow crawl, but people are switching over to Linux everything. Where they're like, hey, if I don't need Google, I don't need Android, I don't need, iPhone, this or that, or whatever, Microsoft, whatever. If I don't need any of this shit, I want a system like they say, well, you need to get a new computer. Oh, isn't that something? Do you really need a new computer? Do you really need a new computer? Or is it the fact that the programming that they forced you to buy now says your computer isn't good enough? Your computer was good enough just the day before. It's kind of like watching YouTube videos. I watch my videos at 144p because it saves a ton of data. But if I watch something at 360 back in the day, it looks exactly the same as it does today in 360. Now, that's on a cell phone, so that's perfectly fine for a cell phone. You probably need to up it a bit if it's going to a TV screen. But here's the thing. You have not upped my video watching experience any better in the last 10 years. For the last 10, 15 years, it has been the same fucking experience. You've only done updates for update's sakes. You are not making the world a better fucking place by doing this. We had the program that worked. You could maybe tweak it to make it run a little more efficient and whatnot, but the basic tools and how they work, there was never a reason to change any of that shit. That's just to justify why you have a job, so Stacy will touch your peen when you drive up in your supercar. Once again, this is why I say, justifiably, when they give it more steps to your day, which is evil. Remember when Google used to say, don't be evil? It's pretty evil to waste the whole world's time, like most of the West's time, whoever has a Google phone. I imagine, is there a country out there where they have phones that just work? Because I'm talking to some of these people that have installed Linux on their computers and like, yeah, it turns out I don't need a new computer. I just put on Linux. And now my computer runs absolutely fine. And it has less prompts and less pop-ups, less bullshit. Yeah, you got to get used to using it. It's like the difference of driving an automatic and then you get used to driving a stick. And you're like, yeah, actually, I kind of like the manual. I like the way the manual runs. I don't fucking like all the add-on bullshit that they're like, prompt this, prompt that. In fact, I'd argue, no, Linux becomes more like the automatic, and fucking Google is the stick, where I have to do these extra steps, except for now you're adding another stick and a third clutch. Oh, the clutch is in the trunk now. And we all have to learn to do the same things we used to do because you did it. Another one of the things that pisses me off, the batteries thing. Your battery probably has 100% of its capacity. They only just allow you to access 80% of it, then 75%, then 70% of it, then 50%. Your tech, your hardware is just fine. It's the system that keeps on butt-fucking you. And that's the reality of it. That's literally the fucking reality of it. And that's why I get so pissed about it, because it's like, this is part of the reason, like, when I'm out in the middle of nowhere, and like, say my fucking ghetto-tastic wiring here, it functions, it does exactly what I want. My TV, I turn it on, it just fucking works. I pick up 65 channels. I know what's going to be on, here, okay, this hour, this hour, this hour. And it works just fine. Just fucking fine. I turn on the radio. I know what stations I can pick up, and it just works. Cell phones, computers, for the most part, the basic functions, works just fine. And by the way, here's another thing. Let's just say, like you want to have like a gaming computer, an old school gaming computer, not like new tech where you're probably going to need like, Microsoft or some other shit or whatever for a hardcore gaming computer. Okay, I acknowledge that. But the reality is, like an old school like emulator computer just for playing, I don't want that thing touching the internet at all. I don't want an update. Once that motherfucker works, I don't want to change a goddamn thing ever. Once I got a game on there, I want to be able to play that, as it is. Because here's the problem. We have this new software update. And that update basically enshittifies my experience. Well, now, and by the way, it was this way 15 years ago. But I used to have like a laptop ages ago, and I only really bought it so I could use it for playing video games. That's it. Like classic video games. You guys remember Cool ROMs back in the day and the SNS emulator, the Sega Genesis emulators, and all that stuff? I only got a laptop for that, you know? And then they're like, well, here comes the update. And now, like, I'm not exactly the most computer literate guy. I'm going to be real about that. I know how to use a smartphone. And you know why? Because computers weren't really relevant to my fucking life, and they still aren't. They're not. Like when someone talks about using Windows and all this other shit, I'm like, yeah, hey man, I just need to know how to drive this thing. I just need to know how to make this thing function and work. I'm sorry. Yeah, I am a little caveman in that respect, but it's not relevant to my daily existence. So then comes the update. I'm like, oh shit, now I got to learn this stuff, learn all this shit. And I got to learn all this shit because they forced it into my life. And that's where sometimes when I see some of those, like, they're probably bullshit, like Alibaba, like 300 or 500 games or 1,000 games in one machine. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. How long do the controllers last? And then when people talk about taking their old computers and just switching them to Linux and, hey, I'm running fine now. And the same thing with the cell phones. Can I still upload a YouTube video? Can I still do this and that? I can. And I don't have 20,000 nonsensical updates. See, I'm not unreasonable here. I think I'm the perfectly reasonable one. I'm looking at a society that has turned a business transaction into a bureaucracy, where it's now my job to basically support a bunch of fucking losers in the app department who realize the code's already been done. It's already there. It's already good. And yeah, there's going to be some repair and update here and there. Yeah, I grant you that. There's no reason to advance this any further than you have. And if somebody wants the new updated version, like, can I have classic this version? And we can just set that on my phone. I want classic this, classic that. Like the version that you have, just point them at boom. And it just leaves all the shit that I have the way it is. That would work fine. But that's not going to get the supercar for the fucking nerd in Silicon Valley, so Stacy will maybe touch his peen. And this is why I say, crush the fucking testicles of the assholes that constantly force you to deal with this. Here, learn this little inconvenience. Learn that little inconvenience. Little that little inconvenience. How much of your life was wasted? Just fucking wasted. On basically relearning the same shit over and over and over again. Now they say, if something doesn't work, it's the mark of insanity. And yet you're basically forced to live in this insanity. It's like, let me give you an example. A screwdriver. You got a Phillips, you got a flathead, you got a Torx, you got a few others, you got square. And there are some adjustments. Honestly, Torx are probably the best. There's only so many ways to have a screwdriver. There's no fucking reason to reinvent the wheel on that one. Now the Torx, we can't say that is better. It is better. Honestly, the fact that we're not just going Torx all the way for a lot of this shit and we're still using like Phillips and flatheads, that's just to sell you more shit and to force you to buy more tools. But there's only so many tools they can force you to buy. The internet and the apps and the updates are an infinite supply of jobs of aggravation for the customer, as where the average tech worker's like, yeah, I just keep on having a job for making the same shit over and over again. Remember, Google, and I know Microsoft is just the same and all the other major tech companies, but Google is the company that said, don't be evil. I can't say there's anything more fucking evil than forcing people to basically waste their time over and over again, to relearn the same shit over and over again. If we want the new version, there should be a tryout feature. And we try it out. And if we like it, we upload it. And we say, that's the new version we want. Let's have that as our preset version. And if we don't like it, we'll say we'll keep the old version. That's how a business works. People like what the product is, they keep on using it. Don't change the mixture. Don't change how the sausage is made. Don't be like New Coke or Clear Pepsi. Don't fuck up what works. Yeah, I know I'm giving some old references there, but I was born in 1980, so come on, man. You know, hey, look out, where's the beef? I'm just saying. It's funny how on the internet, they basically, like, this is part of the reason, by the way, that I think more and more people will go to Linux. And the easier that Linux, the less that Linux becomes one of those tech bro things where it's like, okay, you got to know this and that. Quit talking in tech bro. Just make it easy for the average person to where they're like, oh yeah, this is simple. You know, and you do it and you're like, I'm happy now. I haven't had a notification or an update or something to this in months. Anyhow, just saying, Freedom Phil, like, subscribe, take it easy.